what we've planted. Okay, I guess 7 o'clock. Sparse public attendance. I'm going to start off with this evening. I want to welcome everybody to February 5th Plan Commission meeting. We will start off with a roll call.
Randy Furless,
Here.
Jeff Dawes,
Here.
Sam Hand, Chris Hickman,
Here.
Doug Rice, Mike Bruce,
Here.
Jeff Shorkin,
Here.
Bruce Lee, here, Joe Vogel.
Here.
Evermore.
Okay, at the front end of our meeting tonight, I'd like to entertain a motion to open the public hearing part of the meeting for the proposed flood damage prevention ordinance. So I'd like a motion. Yeah. Okay, and we have a second?
Second.
Okay.
And the public hearing process is required, so if we have the motion second, it's open.
So we're okay?
Yeah.
Okay. The flood damage prevention ordinance is intended to update and replace the county's existing floodplain ordinances to ensure continued compliance with the state and federal requirements, and included participation in the National Flood Insurance Program. Tonight's hearing is for the purpose of receiving public comment. No final action will be taken during the public hearing itself. After the public comment is closed, the Plan Commission may discuss the ordinance, may make recommendations to the county commissioners during the regular meeting later tonight. Before we begin the public comment, I want to go over a few general rules. Public hearing is held solely to receive comments on the proposed flood damage prevention ordinance. Comments on any other ordinances, subject or issues are not part of tonight's public hearing and will not be taken this evening. If anybody who would like to come up and make comments, please state your name and address for our record. Direct all comments to the chair and keep remarks respectful and focused to the ordinance before us. This is public comment period, not a question and answer. And the Plan Commission will not be responding to individual comments at this time. So at this time, I'll open the floor for public comment on the flood damage prevention ordinance. Either one of you.
Nothing from Cheryl on the chat on the Zoom, so.
So it's time. We
Just move forward, man. More discussion if that's.
Close the public.
Well, do we have any more discussion?
okay. If there's no one else who wishes to speak at the flood damage prevention ordinance. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing part of the meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, moved, a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, the Plan Commission will now move to our regularly scheduled Plan Commission meeting. So, welcome again. You need another roll call then?
We don't need to redo that. We're good.
Okay. First up on our agenda for the meeting would be the approval of the minutes from the January 8th meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept them.
Second.
Randy Curlis,
Yes.
Jeff Dawes,
Yes.
Chris Hickman,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Sherry Slee, Joe Vogel.
Okay. First up is under old business is the unsafe premise order at Perch Drive on hold.
Yeah, and it's been on hold. We're gonna keep it there probably till we can get the grass seed sowed, and we'll take it off at that point. Till now, everything else has been done, so we're just sort of on hold of that.
Okay. Zoning ordinance review.
So that's our regular zoning ordinance that we've been sort of taking a look at. That's the one that we had said in April, we're gonna bring back to the board, and we're still working on it. We've just kept it on the meeting agenda as old business. Just to make sure we don't take it off there for some reason. We are gonna have something ready to go by our April meeting so that it can be reviewed by Banning, so that they can give us a copy of a true representation of some type of an invoice or something, or proposal to move forward with it and helping us finish that out.
Okay. Next, unsafe premise order to Sim Street.
Yeah, that's the Gale property in Servia. I did run by there and take a look at it. They have taken quite a bit of stuff off there. There was still too much snow to really get a good picture of everything, so hopefully next month, maybe I can get some pictures of what's been left there, which I think is only some pallets and some concrete block. Hopefully at that point in time, if the board's okay with it, we can take that off of our stuff, because they had to have taken pretty much all the metal and stuff like that is gone, so they've been working on it. So my recommendation is there's very little left there to have to worry about, and hopefully I can get some decent pictures of the site, and then we can bring them in for next month and hopefully get that off our agenda, move on. So
Okay. Next up is the BESS and data center draft ordinance.
So we have the BESS ordinance already, a draft ordinance in place, or given to the board for review. And since then, we've said, there's so many similarities between it and the data centers that we want to combine those. We're working on some other things, trying to get those closed out. But it is still on our minds as far as getting that done as quick as possible, bringing it back to the board. But because we'd already given you a draft copy, we didn't want to take it off the agenda in case anybody had any discussion about it, since they've reviewed it, that they wanted us to take a look at with it.
Okay. Next up, we move into new business, the flood damage prevention ordinance recommendation.
So everybody should have, I think we sent everybody copies of all this stuff, and I do have the old ordinance, and I do have what the state gave us, and then we made the changes between them and sent you guys the final product, the final copies of everything. I think you didn't we send these all at one time? So you did get copies of what they had asked for. And like I said, a majority of that's gonna be names of towns, how they were worded, they mixed them up. Added some definitions, gave us some recommendations on a couple of other portions that were not something that they highly recommend we see. These were in green, were something that they said you may, if you want to add them. Well, we didn't see a reason why not. It doesn't affect anything. It's just an additional couple of lines in the ordinance. But for the most part, chapter verse, they changed a few things, added quite a few different new definitions to it. That was a majority of it. And like I said, for some reason, it was all changing Wabash County and the towns of Fountain Grove and Rowan. The way we worded that, they didn't like it. They changed it throughout every single portion of this and reworded that in every single line where you see it in here was changed. So other than that, some of the articles, they changed articles to sections and things like that. There's a new section added about public freshwater lakes that was not in the old ordinance that they did add as a whole new section. That's the only one that I remember that was a total new section that we never had anything from. And since we have very few of those here, and most of that is all taken care of by DNR as far as oversight goes, we don't have a whole lot to do with those anyways. So we did get all of the recommendations back from the towns of Fountain Grove and Rowan. They've reviewed them, given us their blessing and signed off on all of them already through their town meetings. So we have all those pages to incorporate with this. If this is approved, then we can give all that to the commissioners with our recommendation.
I had a quick question, Brian.
Okay,
How does this affect our projects with drainage board?
the changes that they made here.
Just the ordinance in general.
The only thing I could ever see changing would be if there's a change to the flood zones. So, the floodways and things like that, they update those maps all the time. And those maps get updated, you know, and we have our programs in place, WTH, I think, is that the one that we have? I think we have it updated as the state updates theirs. Or is it Beacon?
ArcPro
ArcPro does it
has
through-
the hosted layer, and then when we know that there's a change, we then
Yeah.
upload it to WTH.
So the drainage board should have the same information that we would have and the state would have as far as the most current information goes with flood stuff. But other than that,
I mean, like when we have a reconstruction project right now, we go ahead and contact the DNR on the core and item. If we, then they determine whether we need a construction and floodway permit or
yeah,
not.
no, that's changed.
So unless we have to have one through them, we don't need to come to you unless we have to have one through them.
No, this is gonna be 90% of this is gonna be definitions, you know, things like that, that they didn't have in the old ordinance that they said we should have. Our old ordinance was from 2013. And there was just stuff that's popped up, you know, new things happen, new things are created, new words, and they've added some of that information to this, along with, like I said, you know, Wabash County, it just, most of it was stuff like that. The freshwater part, they did add, I mean,
Which we have to get permitting for anything with them.
yeah, so, I mean, for the most part, I don't think it's gonna affect you guys, the drainage board, I mean, in any way. In a negative way or any ongoing projects, I would see how it would. If you have any questions, I can ask, but you know, just let me know and I can
Because I
check
know
and see.
before it was only if we had to get a construction of floodway permit, then we went over to the plan commission.
Yeah, and I know we had an issue a little ways back with that. They asked me and said, hey, what's the deal with this? Because you're not allowed to give out permits for anything until you get the state permit. And I said, well, this was drainage board and that's their ditch. So we can't, you know, our office didn't have anything to do with it. Plus, when it comes to it, your stuff said you still have to go get other permits. And if that didn't happen, that's not on you guys. So we get it. I mean, there's always going to be an overlap, I think. No matter what, if you're in a floodway and your ditch is in a floodway, they are, there's no other way to do it. There's gonna be an overlap in those, in between this and your ordinance for.
I just
you know.
didn't want to do a maintenance job that we didn't need the construction permit from DNR, but yet we should have got one through the county.
The only
That's what I
time,
was-
yeah, anytime it's in a flood zone of any type, we're supposed to give you one. The only time you get one from the state is if you're in a floodway. Other than that, if it's a ditch or something like that, a driveway or ditch or something like that, you know, for the most part, a lot of those, we have the state's oversight of it. And as long as they get the permit through the state, we're gonna grant that because it's not a structure. So it's not something that is gonna be, need to be flood proofed of any type. That's when we would step in and for the most part, our office would and deal with
But,
stuff.
you know,
If
we
it's a
have-
ditch, for the most part, we're gonna grant that approval right away. Because it doesn't really affect anything. It doesn't hurt anything. You're
Because
not,
we have the Indiana code that we deal with, so I didn't know if the county, no.
it's just one of those things you know, anytime it's in a floodway and in a ditch, there's always gonna be some overlap there that, you know, wouldn't hurt to take a look at on both sides, so. You can always get with me on that.
Anyone else have any comments or questions on the flood damage prevention?
I had one more thing.
Okay.
When it comes to the appointment, we have the advisory plan commission to appoint. I thought before it was the commissioners that appointed.
Appointed.
Like when Mike was made the floodplain manager, I thought that went through the commissioners. I'm just questioning, I don't,
Questioning who
who should appoint that, yeah,
that position?
yes,
Well,
because I know in here it says advisory plan commission. Appoint the floodplain. Get where it was in here,
I saw that and I wondered who was on that.
yeah.
you remember what section that was in? So
Uh,
let's see it in-
Marked.
Try page 16.
Yeah, page 16, I have full administration. Oh, it's, because was the draft, yeah. That's why it's, that's why I don't know.
Article 4, section A. What page? Is that on your page 16? 16.
Yeah, that was in the old stuff. I think it's always been whoever the plan commission director is.
Because I know in a lot of counties, it's even the county surveyor, so I didn't know if it was
Yeah,
commissioner
there's
appointment
a
or.
place if they sign.
Is this the old one?
Yeah.
Yeah, the county commissioners of Wabash County hereby appoints the Wabash County Advisory Plan Commission Director to administer and implement the provisions of this ordinance. So it's the commissioners that have done that as far as that goes. And you got a good point there. Because if that's in the old one, the commissioners were supposed to do it, this new one says that the plan commission is supposed to appoint that person. We can catch that.
If the commissioners had passed some sort of resolution, something said that whoever's in that position
Yeah,
is the floodplain administrator, should it? Then it would be the plan commission choosing the plan director, which would then be choosing the floodplain administrator. I don't know if they have or not.
yeah, because things are a little different now because before you didn't have to be certified in it. Now you have to have certifications to be able to do that. So I had to take classes and do all kinds of stuff to be able to do that. You'd have to hire somebody in the meantime if they didn't have the certifications to do it. So I think maybe that's the reason why, but we did not catch that the Advisory Plan Commission of Wabash County hereby appoints that position. According to our old stuff, it was the county commissioners, and that's probably the way it should be.
I knew that's the way. it was
Oh, I mean,
before.
they're the drainage board too, so. And they're the executives of the county. Well, so if we can make that change, we can make that change, we can still approve it with that change in mind. And make that the county commissioners if that's okay, because that is what the old ordinance says.
That didn't come from the state.
This came from the state, this did. Well, that's Article 4.
Was it a recommendation?
Yeah, it was. The Advisory Plan Commission of Wabash County hereby appoints, and that was their recommendation.
So we don't have to take it then.
No,
Yeah. Just
I
don't.
mean, I see why, and I believe me, because they're also the drainage board, the county commissioners are, and they're the execs, so I think that makes sense. That they would have been the ones in the first place. We did not catch that the Advisory Plan Commission, so this board would appoint that position any other time, according to this. But for the old statutes, it was the county commissioners, who is the drainage board pretty much, along with Sherry and the street or the highway department superintendent.
Do we have to make a motion?
Well,
to change it
On
back?
page 2, toward the back, way in the back.
Page 2 in the back,
Yeah, it's
That
about
was
4
the first
pages
one.
from the very end of the set.
different one.
It's on, go to
Is
the
it
draft.
one of the town
From that.
something?
Huh?
Oh, that's the resolution for establishing a policy.
Okay,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
you've got Wabash County Advisory Plan Commission on there.
Is that all members or is that just,
That's a whole nother thing.
I know, but I'm just asking.
Yeah,
That'd be all the planning commission?
That's the next thing. we're-
yeah, that's on our next stuff, yeah, but yeah, that. Yeah,
Okay, I
that,
got mixed up.
yeah,
So do we need to make a motion to change that or?
well, we can, and if any approvals are done, it needs to be contingent on us changing that, and making sure that gets changed before we give it to the commissioners for. Because we're just giving them a recommendation, so if our recommendation is to change that one line and give it to them, we can change that and make sure that gets to them.
So we don't need a motion then?
No, I would suggest if
Yeah.
you're making a recommendation, subject. Include that change in.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the change would be instead of the advisory plan commission of Wabash County appointed, hereby appoints that this person for that position, that it be the, yes, Wabash County Commissioners, and I just want to make sure this is the county commissioners of Wabash County. And see, I think that's part of the reason why they redid a bunch of this, because they didn't like the way we wrote it.
Well, they wrote this one too, so they didn't like the way that they wrote it.
Should be the board of commissioners.
Yeah, it's however, I would say it's worded in here somewhere else.
And this is just their recommendation, so if we don't have to take these, but once we get these done, if we get them approved, then we send them back to the state. If they don't like the language as far as that goes, I don't know that
They can reject it and say.
Right.
do something Different.
Right. I don't think they're gonna reject it over a name like that, or the way it's spelled or something.
Other than that, I just had some general questions, but part of it's because I haven't been around much the last month. But when you've got in here the one time, and this is nothing that needs to be changed, it's just a question I have. Requiring the uses vulnerable to floods, including facilities which serve such uses, be protected against flood damage. What do you mean by being protected? Is it like, I'm sorry, section D, methods of reducing flood loss,
Page 3.
3 on mine.
What page is that, Kenny?
Well, I've got 3, it's the one I downloaded, I mean, pulled off from the computer. Are we talking like
Section
a
D.
plan, are we talking like insurance or?
Under definitions. All methods of reducing flood
Yeah.
loss.
Number
To accomplish
2,
its purposes, requiring that uses vulnerable to floods, including facilities which serve such uses, be protected against flood damage at the initial construction.
what do you mean by being protected? Like having insurance, having flood insurance, having some kind of flood plan?
Well, they're gonna have to follow the rules as far as if they're in a floodway, so it wouldn't be in here if they weren't. If they weren't in a floodway or flood of some type, so, you'd have to be 2 foot above base
So
flood.
you
with
talk
your
about
finished
just all
floor,
that kind of
yeah,
stuff, okay.
have venting and all that kind of stuff, that I'm pretty sure that's gonna
Fall in.
fall into that realm of that stuff, Yeah, use of vulnerable both including facilities which are supposed to be protected against the flood damage at the time of initial construction, yeah. Which will be our oversight of it, to say, hey, wait a minute, you can't do this, or yes, you can, but you have to have vents, you have to have, you can't have any mechanicals underneath your floor, below base flood, plus 2 foot, that kind of thing.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what that sounds like as far as methods of reducing flood loss would be, because I'm pretty sure that's part of the work that I would have to do as part of the NFIP to make sure everybody does that, or we could get in trouble for it.
Anyone else? Anything? If not, I guess we ask for a motion for a recommendation to the commissioners.
with the change that Sherry's asked for. Say the commissioner would be the person that would appoint this position of the floodplain administrator for the county.
I'll make a motion to accept it.
Got a motion for a favorable recommendation with the change of the commissioners for floodplain administrator. Randy Curlis,
Yes.
Jeff Dawes,
Yes.
Chris Hickman,
Yes.
Mike Bruce,
Yes.
Jerry Slee,
Yes.
Joe Vogel.
Yes.
Next up under new business is the electronic meeting resolution.
So we've been asked, by a couple of members, to see if we can establish a resolution to, be able to have, people participate via Zoom, if they cannot make the meeting, and probably only in special occasions where, we would need a vote if we didn't have, everything in line, I guess, with that. There are certain stipulations in it. This is the same exact resolution that the county commissioners and county council, I think, have approved. All we did was tweak the wording in it, send it to Mark and said, is this okay? So there is an exact copy of this pretty much with just a few things changed as far as our names and stuff goes. That has already been approved, and I think that was during COVID time. To be able to do this. So we've been asked, we put this together. The biggest thing I think is during like section 3, at least 50% of the members must be physically present at a meeting at which a member will participate by means of electronic communication. Not more than 50% of the members may participate by electronic means of communication at the same meeting. So this is just really meant to be, hey, if there's a couple people missing, two people missing, but they want to still participate and be a part of it, then they have the opportunity to do so. And I know Chris had said something, and I'm with him on it. You know, you get on the board, you've been asked to be on the board, you want to be able to participate, and feel like you're doing what you've been asked to do, for the board, and I'm 100% for it. I don't think it's gonna be used as much as we might think, but you know, just in case if we need it, we have the opportunity to do so. And it also says a member may not attend more than 50% of the meetings in the calendar year by that electronic means. So you can't use this as a crutch not to show up for the meetings more or less. So you need to try your best to be at the meetings and to do the right thing and be here. And so that's right. And then I think a member may attend 2 consecutive meetings by electronic communication. A member must attend in person at least 1 meeting between sets of meetings that the member attends by electronic communications, unless the member's absence is due to, you know, a list of things. And we still do with our regular minutes or our regular stuff have a 3, you can't miss more than 3 meetings in a row, or you have to be reappointed to the position.
I know that, and, you know, page 34 of the signatures, Tyler's president, was it January 3rd?
Right, it's just on this one, this is. Sure. So, go back to the filter,
Oh, on the floodplain stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, I got you.
because it was on November, December. Now, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we did do that before you guys took your vote. That's why. Okay,
I'll change it.
yeah, that's right. So we just moved chair down to Tyler. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that'll be a page you'll have to yeah, you'll have to do anyway, so, yeah, we can do that. It's not an actual change of the actual ordinance itself, so.
Then we need a motion to accept this resolution, correct?
Yes.
So the,
Do we have a second?
I'll be the second again.
Randy Curlis,
Yes.
Jeff Dawes,
yes,
Chris Hickman,
Yes.
Mike Bruce,
Yes.
Sherry Slade,
Yes,
Joe Vogel.
Yes.
What if you're a non-voting member? Does that apply? I could.
Actually, you can't-
Strike that from the minute.
You count for 50% physically present.
Yes.
So
Okay.
because it says specifically
Sure.
50% physically present, not quorum physically present. So it could.
Okay.
hold us in that case.
I'm glad I asked.
So you matter.
You
No.
matter in
No.
this case.
Okay, next up is the director's reports.
Okay, we've been giving everybody these for a while, more or less it's just planning and, permit activity. Sort of give you year to date, where we're at between it and last year's, totals. And then we have the financial report. Just keeping you updated on where we're at with our budget and the differences, between those as far as variances and special exceptions, that kind of stuff from this year to last year. Along with the general budget and the unsafe premise fund budget. So this time of the year, we don't see a whole lot of movement in those, so. This is, like I said, just general information, we're just keeping this. So you have, this information to look at, and on the back page again is, of course, our permit stuff, special exceptions and variances. And, our permit income comparisons. Anybody have questions? This is just general information. We don't need a vote or anything on this, so just stuff we're gonna start been giving you every month, so.
Complaints update.
So complaints update, so for a reassessment, I'll start with reassessment. We have 11 rolled over from 2025. Only one rolled over from 24 to 25. So, and then 10 in 2025 were open. So we have 11, which were the 11 that was rolled over. We received 47 total in 2025, and we've received 0 so far this year. Complaints total open 42. 28 we are actively working on, 12 with legal and 2 unsafe premise. One of which we're hoping to take off if we can get that taken off and get that taken care of. 59 total rolled over from 24 to 25. 41 rolled over from 25 to 26. Not all the same, obviously. We've received one so far this year that we've actually checked out. We've received another one that in the last 2 days about a building that's had some siding blown off of it, and so people are a little upset, and so I've had to go check that out. So that'll be another one that'll probably be a new one received in 26, with 20 of those being monitored for compliance at this point in time.
Okay, anyone on the board have anything to bring up tonight?
I have a couple things if nobody else does.
Go ahead.
Everybody has, we did this with the BCA too, their oath of office. We're gonna give everybody a copy of their oath of office. Please review it, check it. It also has your term of office on it. We would like to have your signature on it saying, hey, yes, we did this. Your position or classification would be like a citizen member or, ex officio, by statute, like, Sherry, things like that. So we're going to send these around and start doing this near or the first of every year, just so it refreshes everybody's memory on what they have, what their board term is, and go from there. And then that way we also have a backup of the paperwork that we have in a file that we can go through. So. Is. There's yours. Put these back in order, so we can just send them around real quick, check those out, and then we can. There's Sherry. Yeah. Some Joe. Those should be in order. If you could just pass those around, Sherry, and get Jeff his up here. And then we'll have Sandy. Yep. Okay, Randy, I do have one other thing here. Um. I was given this flyer, Wabash County, I guess, is doing the Great March cleanup. Anybody's heard of that? We do in our budget for, unsafe premise have trash removal, $2,000 in our budget. Now, in the past, we have rented dumpsters and put dumpsters out, Sandy Beach, I think, and other places. Republic Services is actually sponsoring this, and they are sponsoring all of the dumpsters. But I called Christina Floor at Visit Wabash County and said, hey, is there something else we can do? And if there is, let me know. I can take it to the board and see if they would be okay with us using any of these funds for that. This I think is a great deal because with just putting a dumpster somewhere, we had to be the ones that actually find somebody to deal with making sure that nobody put refrigerators with Freon and, other stuff that we got charged for the last time because nobody was there to check things out. So instead of the $2,000, our bill was like $2,500. We had to get money and funds elsewhere to pay for the total thing. Now, I'm not too keen on just handing over $2,000, but she did say that, thank you for reaching out, for ways that the plan commission may leverage this line item in their budget regarding trash removal in these rural areas. Areas where funds could be utilized are latex gloves, leatherwork gloves, safety signs, safety vests, volunteer kit storage containers, trash bags, and some post cleanup signage. There'll be up to 250 volunteers cleaning up the Wabash County area during the month of March. They did have a list of communities: LaFountain, LaGrow, North Manchester, Rowan, Somerset, and Wabash. So other than Wabash, obviously, and North Manchester, some of the areas that we work. So we can't guarantee that all the funds that we're using are just going to be for the Wabash County area. That's the other part of it. It could be that it's used in portions of the city of Wabash or the town of North Manchester. Still Wabash County, but again, those are out of our jurisdictional areas. So bring this here to say, does anybody have any suggestions? Can we use it for this? Or is the board okay with this? Because really the line item is for trash removal. Other than this, we would have to try to find somebody to, first of all, place a dumpster on their property and be okay with it, and be okay with people bringing trash to their property and dumping it. And making sure that Republic Services would be there to switch them out on a daily basis. I think the last ones we did 2 at a time, and 2 different routes. So it was a couple days worth, 2 or 3 days worth of stuff. And like I said, we ended up with items in it that we were not supposed to have in it, and we ended up paying more for it in the long run. So I'm not sure how, like I said, we would do this. If anybody has some suggestions that we could use this for, I'm all ears.
My office is taking some individuals during our workday to volunteer as part of our community development with that.
You guys are doing that too?
We're gonna help.
Okay,
If you are okay with it, I can scout this year to see what next year we could use. Cause I don't, I don't know what to.
I wish
expect
we
with
could have
it.
done just the dumpsters. We could have said, hey, we'll do the dumpsters. That's what we've done in the past. Is we'll sponsor those dumpsters, but because Republic Services is the ones that are actually sponsoring the whole event, they're taking care of all the dumpsters.
And I could see not spending all of that money on this
Right,
one
right.
event, but I do know that with latex gloves, work gloves,
Yeah.
5-gallon buckets are. I don't know why they're expensive, but those types of supplies, if you want me to, again, look at it this year and then come back next year and say, hey, this is the biggest need that I saw. And that way we're not rushing it and not, I don't want to say wasting the money, but allocating it to where they actually need it. So
Right.
if you want to do trash bags or something, great, but.
That's where I was saying, if we're gonna do it, I think that's, we take it and say, hey, look, from what I understand, the gloves are mandatory. The vests are mandatory. Those are the kinds of things that are mandatory. But once you get a vest, can't you use that again next year? Once you, obviously the latex gloves, you're gonna throw away, that kind of stuff, the trash bags and things like that. I just looked at it like this is sort of along the lines of that budget item, and could we do something to help out here? It's not our standard way of doing it, but that doesn't mean we can't look at it a different way. My fear is that it would be, if we just handed over $2,000 and said, here you go, they would end up, having a big, billboard and saying, hey, thank you. Well, but that's not a good use, I don't think, of our funds for this. Even though I think we do help fund that in the.
And if you give it 2,000, they'll be asking for 2,500.
I got you. And I would too. I got you. I'm just, as far as this board goes and my budget goes, I just want to make sure we're not doing something that's not along the lines of this budget item, and making sure that it's going towards what it was planned for in the first place. Cause I think the gloves in the bag, trash bags and, that kind of stuff. Yeah, but I don't see it going much further than that for what we're looking at. Cause I think it also said,
This is only their second year doing it, isn't it? Second.
I don't know.
It's fairly young, so I would be careful to commit anything, cause it might be expected
Okay,
every year. That's where I get a little nervous about it. Is if they say, well, our trash bags were donated by Plan Commission. Well, this year we don't have trash bags because we don't have the funds, so. Make a one-time thing,
I got you.
but again, I'm happy to scope it out.
That's why it's like, I'm not doing, I'm not promising anything till I bring this to the board and we discuss this, cause I didn't feel comfortable just doing that either. If you say, okay, we're, 5 boxes of gloves are gonna cost, $200, you're gonna throw them all away anyways, or you're gonna keep whatever's left over. Is that worth it? And then we look for another community, cause just like this isn't the main communities that we would want to see a lot of the cleanup in. So can we do both? Maybe we can go to Republic Services and, hey, next year, you let us sponsor this up here and take care of it, and see if they can, have the volunteers in place to oversee the cleanup. And maybe we do it that way. Because they might not, Republic Services might not do this again next year either. They might just say, hey, wait a minute, that's just too much. Yeah. And so if that's the case, then maybe we look at it like, hey, if we can do, some of our other communities that will really need to clean up in it. But then use the volunteers and see if maybe we could work together to do something. I'd be willing to help try to do anything. If it helps in the long run, because then that's less work that we have to do on this end when it comes to unsafe premises and trash cleanup and complaints and everything else, so.
I think the river defenders also do something,
They do clean up too, but
Also-
we've never,
use part of the money for them. if they want.
and that's trash, that's all trash cleanup stuff, so. Maybe we can look at a couple things and maybe not jump into it like Jeff said. And see if there's a huge need, maybe I come back to the board and say, hey, they said maybe they need, this and this, and they only need a couple $100. Would you be willing to do that? And maybe that's what we do, to say, hey, you need to bring something to us. You need to bring something. Something tangible and say, here's what we need to, here's how much it's gonna cost. Or would you be willing to cover this cost as part of it?
So that the original $2,000 came about as a result of what? Did they come up originally? That's just something that's always been in there.
It's in our budget under unsafe premises, so
Okay.
that's to help
Those
us.
can be used.
It could be used for cleanup for stuff. It says for trash removal is what it's supposed to be for. And that was the original item that was in here since before I started. And it's been in there ever since. So when
Okay.
we've used it since I've been here one time, and that was for dumpsters up at Sandy Beach. And they were full. They filled 4 dumpsters. Like I said, they were putting stuff in it because we didn't have anybody up there to specifically sit there and watch them and maintain it and check it out and make sure that people weren't putting, stuff that they weren't supposed to be putting in there. And it did cost us a little extra, but
I'll move that we have Jeff monitor that, if he sees the need, he can report back to.
Okay.
Brian or board.
Maybe even ask if would it be okay to encumber that if they don't spend that money, that anything that wasn't used this year could be encumbered for next year, that way they're not digging a hole. Or I don't know what that line item looks like.
we've always given that back.
Okay,
If we haven't used it, we've
Sure.
given.
Yeah, it doesn't come from the general fund, it comes from
No.
our unsafe premise.
Okay,
fund,
gotcha,
so
gotcha.
Well, it's not
Okay.
lost, it's it.
Yeah,
gotcha.
So just something to bring up. So yeah, if you could let me know, Jeff, if there's anything in the meantime, that was just something
Does the public have anything to bring up for the meeting? No? Okay, I guess I'm entertaining a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.